Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Alright, so I've said it a bunch of times before, but I'll say it again. I will never be lectured to by any Democrat on the topic of democracy, or of course election interference. The same people who are constantly pretending to take stances that they're defending democracy are the same fascists who are bringing an end to democracy. I know. Labeling people as fascists in the political realm is kind of taboo these days, and you know what? It is, kind of. But when it applies, when it's actually accurate, it's a totally legitimate label. These leftists are acting like tyrants. The same people who are constantly talking about democracy are now pushing forward a challenge to have Donald J. Trump, most likely the Republican nominee, banned from the ballot, citing the 14th Amendment. Democracy, every vote counts. More election interference. Give me a freaking break. Let me show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so this is a real document. Now I don't want to give a false impression that this was written by some Democrat politician. It's actually a challenge that was filed in a federal court in the Southern District of Florida by a Palm Beach County lawyer, a tax attorney by the name of Lawrence Kaplan, who writes, "The law of the matter of inciting insurrection against the federal government. The 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution was ratified in 1868 in the shadow of the Civil War and was designed to represent a new birth of freedom from previously disenfranchised citizens. Of particular note, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment automatically excludes from future office and positions of power in the U.S. government, and as well from any office and position of power in the sovereign states and their many subdivisions, any individual who has previously taken an oath to support and defend our Constitution, and after which acts so as to rebel against the Charter, either via overt insurrection or by giving aid or comfort to the Constitution's enemies." In carefully analyzing this language embedded in the Constitution, numerous legal scholars have wrangled with the preeminent issue of whether an actual conviction is necessary to trigger the prohibition of running for office. This so-called disqualification clause has been determined to operate completely independently of any pending criminal proceedings and also independent of any impeachment proceedings or congressional legislation. Former federal judge Michael Luddig of the U.S. Court of Appeals of the Fourth Circuit and noted scholar Laureen Tribe have both come to the inescapable conclusion that the disqualification clause was designed to operate directly and immediately upon this certain individuals who betray their oaths to the U.S. Constitution, whether by taking up arms to overturn our government or by waging war on our federal government by attempting to overturn the results of a presidential election through a bloodless coup. President Trump's efforts, both in Washington as well as Georgia and perhaps other states, as well as the consequential assault on the U.S. Capitol, put Trump at the center of the disqualification clause, and as a result of which, make him ineligible to serve in federal office again. Now, excuse me, I'm not some big brain Ivy League lawyer, but I have never read such horse doo-doo in my entire life. This man is literally arguing that Donald Trump is guilty of insurrection, even if he hasn't been convicted of insurrection, and that he should be disqualified from running for office or federal office because he staged a bloodless coup and insurrection, and that should be determined without legal verdict or impeachment. What a nutcase. They already tried to impeach him over this. It fell flat on its face. The FBI even issued multiple statements essentially stating that Donald Trump is not guilty of insurrection and did not organize a coup on January 6th. But of course, facts be damned, democracy be damned, legal process be damned, ban him from the ballot. This is the next act of desperation from these Democrat clowns. In order to save democracy, Donald Trump should be banned from running for office, banned from the ballot, because supposedly he betrayed his oath to the Constitution. Did he really? Everything that Donald Trump did, everything he did was in line with the Constitution, yet according to the twisted logic of these leftist fascists, he's somehow guilty of a crime. Political opinions that we disagree with, especially if promoted, are illegal is essentially what they're saying. The people who constantly warned for years throughout Donald Trump's first term of abuse of power and the weaponization of the justice system are now making that argument. The same people who are talking about democracy, Donald Trump wants to be a fascist. They tried impeaching Donald Trump for simply asking a question on a phone call to the Ukrainian president about alleged Joe Biden corruption. They impeached him because supposedly he was trying to interfere in the election. He was trying to get dirt or, pursue some sort of legal attack against his opponent. That phone call alone, simply asking, hey, what's going on with this Joe Biden investigation that I keep hearing about? Apparently that rises to the the level of impeachment, illegal election interference a high crime and misdemeanor, but Joe Biden's DOJ launching 4 indictments against Donald Trump, oh, that's all legitimate. One case alleging that having an opinion and pursuing legal action is now somehow illegal, indicting Donald Trump and his entire legal team. Democracy, folks, definitely not election interference. And now the latest effort, I mean, you're seeing it everywhere, and now we're seeing people try to actually take it into action, attempting to ban Donald Trump from the ballot, attempting to ban Donald Trump from even being able to run for office on a state level and all the way to a federal level. These people are completely insane. I mean, I try not to be hyperbolic in my rhetoric, but the only words that I come to over and over again when thinking about this is evil and fascism. Those are the 2 words that constantly pop up in my brain. I mean, let's really sum up the argument. Donald Trump is guilty for doing the same thing that Democrats do pretty much every election cycle. Donald Trump is guilty in Georgia because he was unhappy with the results and wanted an audit and investigation. Donald Trump's guilty because he told people to go home and be peaceful, to march peacefully, and it got a little out of hand. Apparently, that makes Donald Trump guilty of insurrection, leading a coup against the federal government. And even though he hasn't been found guilty, he's never been found guilty in an impeachment trial or found guilty of insurrection in a court of law, it doesn't really matter because Democrats think he's guilty, they believe he's guilty, and therefore he should be banned from the ballot. Make it make sense. This is obviously the backup plan, it's the next tactic. They tried it in New Hampshire recently as well. New Hampshire Republicans feud over bid to knock Trump off the 2024 ballot. It's of course more evidence of the corrupt uniparty establishment desperately trying everything in their power to illegitimately affect the process. If it's not this corrupt tactic, then it's another, and if that one fails, then it's another. It's an endless witch hunt, an endless, totally corrupt effort to destroy democracy. They're a bunch of petulant children who are throwing a tantrum, who put themselves, their own political will, above the will of the people, above the actual legitimate process itself, while at the same time chanting about democracy. It is evil, it is fascist, it is wrong, and boy, I hope it backfires and backfires hard. Mark my words when I tell you that the shenanigans are far from over. If you think that it just ends here, that if all these bogus cases don't get in Donald Trump's polling numbers, if it seems like they aren't having an effect on his campaign and it seems like he's doing well or has a chance of beating Joe Biden, which I think clearly he does, mark my words when I tell you they won't stop at those indictments. They're going to do everything in their power to subvert democracy while pretending they're trying to defend it. Democrats are saying that their political opponent should be charged criminally, put in prison, and removed from the ballot to protect democracy. I can't think of anything more paradoxical. Evil and fascist. Election interference. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. You know that we'd love to have you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.